So our last unit centers on the idea of radicals, probably, again, something that I'm pretty sure you are familiar with or you have seen. I don't think this is going to be too terribly novel for most of you, maybe some of the last stuff in the last couple units. So I'm just going to, though, treat it like we've not seen it before, because I want to make sure I'm doing good by you all in the presentation of this material. So first thing, I just want to talk about what a radical is and what it means. And so a radical, this is the symbol for a radical right here. It's like a big check mark with a roof over it. And sometimes you'll see a number in the basket. So I'm going to put a little letter N right there for the number that you sometimes see in the basket. So each of these things, because math people are fond of naming everything, okay, each of these things gets a name. So the actual check mark, this part right here, that's called the radical. When you have something under the radical, let me just draw an X for lack of anything more creative to put there. When you have something under the radical, that's called the radicand. It's a fun word to say. And then that number that is in the basket of the radical, that is called the index of the radical. And it's giving you some specific information on what you're going to do. When there is no number in the basket, so in the United States, our convention is when we are going to have a 2 there, we don't tend to write a 2 inside the basket. You can, it's not wrong. If you have your Apple calculator, because I don't know if this is true on an Android calculator on your phone, but on the Apple calculator, they put a 2 there because in some parts of the rest of the world, they do put a 2 there. So when there is no number in the basket, that means there's a 2 there. Okay, otherwise, for anything else, a number will be put. And so what the index tells you, okay, so what the index tells you is how many times you're multiplying, let's just say, a number by itself to get what's under the radical. Okay? So when there's a 2 there, it says, what number do I multiply by itself twice? When there's a 3, what number times itself 3 times? So the index tells us how many times something is multiplied by to get the radicand. And that becomes your answer to the radical. So if I haven't explained that as well as I could have, we're going to do plenty of examples here in this first section that involve numbers. So hopefully any questions that you might have because I didn't do a good job, we can get answered. And as always, if there is something bouncing around in your brain, okay, and you need it to be answered, raise your hand. It's super easy process in here. It helps me be a better instructor when you ask me some questions. So just going to slide my page. Everybody caught up? Everybody written down what you need to write down about what a radical looks like? Okay, so my first example, the computer, I'm going to give it a second. There it goes. Okay, thank you. Glad I don't have to restart. So the first example right here says I've got a radical 25. There's nothing in the index. When I have a 2 as the index, or when the 2 is implied, we call this a square root. Okay, and so the question is this: what number times itself 2 times gives me 25? 5 times 5. Now, somebody in here might be thinking, well, you know, Perkster, -5 times -5 gives me 25, and you'd be 100% right. So when you see a radical like this and there's no sign, again, we've stopped. I guess I'm going to have to restart. I restarted the whole computer before class too. This computer hates me.